you started Home Free and you developed a following for Home Free large enough that you were able to make it your full-time career. And even now, so, 20 years, I guess at that point, 15, 16 years later, your own career. And then even with you working with 7th Avenue, you have to essentially build a following. And I'm curious, like for artists, this is a question for artists that are just starting off. What would be some tips that you have to build a following, like to get people to care?
Yeah, that's tough. It's a little
Or
tricky because
what are some steps that you took? Because not even conceptually, like what are some practical stuff that you did?
Yeah, well, win a reality TV show.
but apparently, according to your bio, you guys were full-time musicians before you, like way before you even won the single.
Yeah. So, we were full-time musicians, but we didn't have a following.
Okay. Per se. That makes sense.
Again, social media wasn't as big in 2011. It certainly was, but not the same as it is now. I
mean, Instagram only came out in 2010, so.
Yeah. But what we were doing is we had established ourselves within the professional circles. So we had connections with agents and with arts festivals, showcases and things. So within those networks that we built up, we were being hired to do state fairs, county fairs, and we were doing corporate parties and school shows and things like that, because enough people were reaching out to us that had heard about us to want to bring us in. But we were being brought in as entertainment for something else. We were not being brought in, let's bring in Home Free because people want to see Home Free. Mm-hmm. If we're doing one of the big ones we did at the Minneapolis Convention Center was the Great Clips Convention. And there were 7,000 people at that thing. And we had a great time. We killed it, but nobody knew who we were. Mm-hmm. And they probably forgot us afterwards. But the convention people, like the organizers said, oh, yeah, that was a very successful hire. Let's keep them in mind for the next thing. Mm. Or tell, our friends over at BW3s that they should hire them for their convention or whatever,
Yeah.
So that's how we were building it up. So it's a different question than how do you build up the following yourself? And with that, again, I had a launch pad that other people don't have. So it doesn't fully apply.
But I'm curious though, if to some degree, all the relationships and the practice that you had kind of developed yourself as an artist, which made it easier for people to care. Quality and artist. Like trying to make that agency like you is no different than making Joe from Canada like you. So it
definitely all adds up.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
adds up. Yeah. Practically is okay. So one of the problems, like this is a slight tangent with Patreon, is they and they're doing what Patreon does, and they push it to everybody and their mother to try to get them to sign up. Because if they can get 100 artists that are each making $100 each, that's that money for them. It's a lot harder to find the big fish. But those 100 artists making $100 each are trying, they're being told, hey, sign up to Patreon, you'll make so much money, because they'll see something like Home Free killing it. And that doesn't work because they don't have that connection with the fan base enough, whatever their fan base is, no matter what it is, to make people want to actually spend the money to commit to it. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of I don't even want to be deceptive, but they pitch it the way they pitch it. Then I've seen a lot of groups that are like, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to have my own Patreon. And they have, 6 patrons and they make $24 each month or something. Mm-hmm. Like, well, this was disappointing. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to make hundreds. No, because you don't have the prerequisite floor that you've built up already with your fans to make that justifiable. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing you have to do. Is you have to create enough content that some people care enough to follow you, and then find out what they want, find out why they like you in the first place, and then make them feel special for liking you.
Wow.
A lot of the normals
you said you didn't know what to say? That's a massive gem.
A lot of the normals out there, people that aren't content creators, they don't have this in their lives. They see it from afar, and it's great, and they've always kind of wondered about it or something.
What is this? Would you say they don't have this?
The music life, the performing life, the entertainment life, whatever, the content creation life.
Sure.
They've seen the big artists, they've seen some smaller people they like, but it's still far removed. So suddenly you break that barrier down, and now they get to know you. They get to see your process. They get to hang out with you, and it's not as mysterious as I thought. It's just really interesting. I respect them on a different level now. I want to make sure that Chris keeps doing what he does, because it means a lot to me. More than I don't know, maybe I don't always love all of his songs or something, but I love what he's doing. Mm-hmm. I love learning so much about this process. Here's $100 a month. This is my support for that. Versus they don't spend $100 per month on the rest of their entire entertainment music budget combined.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Taylor Swift, with Ed Sheeran, doesn't matter, like whatever, you know, they're going to spend that money on me because they like me and they have developed a relationship with me, and I'm giving them the value that they cannot get in the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the uniqueness you need to build that fan base up.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is, so essentially to summarize it, what you were saying is put out enough content to have people find you, continue to put out the content so that those people that found you start to really care about you, and essentially just make them feel special and ask them what they want.
Yeah, I know.
It's so
one thing
true.
that's, and it is a bit of a game, and break the fourth wall down here. You've done this yourself, I'm sure, in YouTube videos. You're like, hey, tell me in the comments what you think about this or whatever, and like, do you care? Kind of, but not nearly as much as you make it seem, because it's part of the game that you play. And it's harsh, but like you just don't have time and the energy to care as much as you make it seem. You just can't, because you'd be spending all day on YouTube comments if that's what you did. Mm-hmm. But you want that engagement, because then they feel like, okay, I'm going to type in my message. You know, especially my Patreon people, I always tell them I will read everything my patrons send me. Mm-hmm. I may not respond, I just don't have time, but I will read it, and if they know, they do feel heard, which is nice. So yeah, playing that game a little bit, you have to do that. And again, it's not, I don't want to say it's malicious. It's not even that deceptive, but you want to open that up and invite them so that the people that do care enough are then feel inclined to take that step. And you'll start to notice it. Like, say you do that, like, tell me in your comments what you're going to think about this video, blah, blah. And you do it every time. You notice, you know, Jim Bob 47 is always replying. Okay, after like 5 or 6 of these, who is Jim Bob 47? And now you start connecting with them, engaging with them because they kept replying. Yeah,
so that's a very interesting aspect in the sense of like you get 100 comments, 200 comments on a video. Like some people it's the first time you've ever seen their comments. So like, yeah, you appreciate them commenting, but there's not this level of connection. But then you see Jim Bob 47, who's commented on the past 47 videos. You're like, oh, I actually really care what he has to say because he keeps coming back, and like that's a really interesting relationship. You know,
I got one guy right now who's been going through my entire YouTube video catalog. And every week he watches 3 or 4. He comments on every single one. And it's the point now where I'm curious to hear what he says after every video. Like some I have, 3 or 4 years old. Like, oh, what does David think about this one? Oh, cool. All right.
And it's funny because I've actually gotten comments on the opposite, where it's like people are like, oh, I feel bad I'm commenting on your videos, and I'm like, I stinking love seeing the same people. Yes. Like I actually get sad when I don't, because I'm like, dude, are they not interested in my content anymore? Like. So I love seeing the same ones.
Yeah, they'll say like, "Hey, is it okay if I share this?" Yes. How do you think this works? Yes, share it.
Yeah. No, I love and like it's the relationship. So like you said, like so you people say I'll leave a comment below, and like for example, I love interacting with the community and stuff. So like, but you're right to some degree. I kind of I read it. I try to actually. I've been, depending on the size of platforms, it becomes not possible in time and whatever the case is. I try to respond to everyone that I can, but I, kind of skim a little more the first person that I've ever seen before, and you people don't realize you recognize them. You recognize the names. No matter, even if you get 1,000 comments, you recognize the 15 that keep coming back. Whatever because the names are so unique. You know what I mean? Like you got Jim Bob 47, and you got like the craziest names out there. So you start to recognize these people, and then you actually do read really care. Like, of course, I read every one, but I'm like, okay, cool. And it's like, oh, what does this person actually say? Like, let me actually like really, really read it, kind of thing. And those are the people that spend the time.
I've got about, I don't know, I haven't looked for about maybe 300 patrons or something, and I know pretty much every single one of those names.
That's cool. Exactly.
And so I definitely pay attention to anything they post and say.
Yeah.
Or even if they stop being my patron, maybe I didn't notice it for a while or something, but I still recognize them.
Yeah.
For a while after, like, oh yeah, that's Jenny girl from Alaska. Oh yeah, I remember her.